Peace, infinite waters, diving deep once again with a breath of fresh air. No. Today we're gonna be talking about how to stop caring what people think. I'm just messing around. I'm a fan of his. You guys know Infinite Water Dude. But yeah, about what people think. Okay, usually when people care what other people think, it's because they have a low. First of all, they're perceiving things as they appear. They're viewing things from a surface level perception. So for example, when they see someone, they see the aura they're projecting, they see the illusion, they're buying into the story that people and other people and they are telling them. For example, when the reason why you value what an adult says rather than valuing what a child says, because a child could tell you to go fuck yourself and you're gonna laugh about it, oh ha ha. An adult could tell you to go fuck yourself and you might care about it. But that not only doesn't just go towards that perspective, that also goes to people who we care about. All right. For example, like if someone we care about, a child tells us to go fuck ourselves, we maybe react a little bit more as opposed to if a child who's a stranger tells us to go fuck ourselves. You see what I'm saying? So what's going on here? What's going on here is that you're valuing your sense of self based on what they think about you rather than what you think about yourself. So whenever we have an emotional investment in other people, we usually want to maintain the image they have about us because it makes us feel good. When we lack those positive emotions, we will crave it in other people's attention. We're taught to feel good only when we're getting good feedback from other people. And so that's why we value everybody's opinion, even for the people who we don't care about, because we are always feeding off of our environment. We're not feeding off of our own sources of positive emotions. When we look down into ourselves, we see turmoil. And so we say to ourselves, rather than looking inside and observing the pain, we try to run away. And so that running away takes you and strips you from the natural ability you have to become your own source of positive emotions. And the only place you could turn to is where? On the outside, looking for superficial ways to fix what's going on inside of you. And so what tends to happen, you become addicted to stimulus, you become addicted to people's projection of you. For example, like the validation that I'm getting for you guys, it feels good, but I'm consciously aware that if I value it too much, it's going to become part of my identity. So I constantly always have to be reminding myself, this is just words. They're nothing. Just, yeah, it's nice. People think I'm smart and whatnot. That's good, but don't let it get to your head. You see, it takes effort for me to stay centered. And so it's a natural compulsion of human beings to need other people's validation, because that's something that we needed when we were in more primordial kind of like states, you know, we were like crazier per se. So now what we need to do then is realize and see through the illusion that we're all the same, that there's no actual differences. The differences that people put out are just smoke screens for us to distract ourselves from their own weaknesses and to distract themselves from their own weaknesses. So what you have to do is expose yourself to that one thing you're trying to avoid. Whatever that is, expose yourself. Proactively expose yourself to the things you fear so that you could do it in a controlled environment, so that it doesn't happen from a place of reaction. So allow yourself to feel getting rejected. Allow yourself to feel getting judged. I'll put yourself in those positions consciously, simply to observe it, simply to notice the way you judge yourself, simply to notice the way your body reacts to self-criticism. Because in reality, what really going on is not that you don't care what people think, but that you have a habit of criticizing yourself and you do it in an indirect way through caring what people think, because the caring what people think usually creates certain dialogues in your mind. That's criticism. You see what I'm saying? And you think that criticism comes because you care what people think, but in reality, that comes from you. But your ego doesn't want you to see that, because as soon as you see it, you're able to expose it. You see, it's one thing to care from what people think if the person actually, you know, kind of has some control of your livelihood, you know, kind of like your boss. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is not the realization of that you have to respect them, but the need for validation, just to feel good. Not to have a job, but to feel good. That's the problem. Because when you do that, then your personality doesn't arise from you, but it arises from your environment. You become a victim of your environment, because if your environment tells you that you got to kill people to be validated, to be part of the whole, guess what? You become that. If your environment tells you that you got to do this, you become that. But that doesn't mean that it came from you. In reality, it came because of a reaction to the environment. So if your environment teaches you that you got to be defensive and mean and deceptive, then that's going to happen to you. And so a lot of people will become victims of the environment. People who were raised in the hood, a lot of them are victims of their environment. But that doesn't mean that you cannot awaken. That doesn't mean that you cannot use that as a way to propel yourself towards success. Just because you have those weaknesses doesn't mean because it's a lot easier to wake up from a nightmare than from a good dream. So those problems are there to help you grow. So when you notice yourself criticizing yourself, rather than being ashamed of it and becoming part of it, or what you do is just observe it. You see, observe yourself criticizing yourself, because in reality, it's not that you care what people think, but rather you're just telling yourself those things. You just don't notice it because you're still doing it from a surface. You're still viewing things from a surface level perspective. You got to realize, where are these thoughts arising from? They're arising from you. And so that's why insecure people care what other people think, because in reality, what's really arising is from their own consciousness. So you got to practice self-awareness. Back to the same shit, right? If you're new to the channel, you know that I'm always harping about self-awareness, because self-awareness is huge. Like, so when you notice yourself, when you notice feeling and caring what people think about you, what you have to do then is to notice the voice that's creating the criticism. Again, remember that tactic that I taught you guys yesterday about writing down the emotions? Literally, anytime you care what people think, I want you to write down your physical experience. Look for the person you call you in that criticism. So, for example, you feel the shame and you feel yourself like hearing those voices, caring what people think. Notice the physical sensation. Where are you tight? And just notice it. What I want you to do, though, actually, if you want to, write it down. Write down your physical sensation. Write down the bilateral effects of the physical sensations, and just feel that. You know, like, for example, like, write down my chest is tight, this is tight, my neck is tight because of my chest being tight, and just write it down. So what you're going to notice is that you're going to literally break down the experience of caring what people think. Suddenly you're going to realize that it's not there's no identity there. It's just a physical experience. What's creating more of what's making it real is your own insecurity. It's making a physical sensation into an identity. But once you break it down, you're able to see, holy shit, this thing that I call, you know, caring what people think, it's just tightness here, tightness there, tightness here, brain creating certain thoughts, and that's it. And it's weird how everything just drops. They drop. You don't care what people think no more. Now, another way for you to do this is to actually have compassion for them. Literally have a lot of compassion for them. Literally see them with compassion. See them as someone that you love. See them as someone who doesn't know what they're doing. And when you see people with compassion, you're able to appreciate them, even their ignorance. That's one way to do it, because when you hate someone, and you, how can I say this? When you hate someone and you sort of see them as a threat, you kind of care what they think. But when you know someone's retarded, you sort of say, you know, you're fucking stupid. And actually, that's not compassion, but you know what I'm saying? You kind of say, like, he's ignorant. He doesn't know me. They don't know me. They don't know who I am. That's cool, man. Like, I know you're doing this because you don't know me. That's all right, man. That's cool. It's not that you don't like me, but you just don't like the idea of me. That actually helps. But primarily, though, what I usually do is I just observe the experience of caring what people think, and actively expose myself to those situations. And observe how it is to care what people think, and you're gonna notice that it's no big deal. I'm telling you, this might seem like the weird route, like, oh, I thought I was gonna get some tactic. No, but this is the long-term solution that fixes it. All right. Anyways, it's Alex from mindfulattraction.org. Have a good day. If you guys want one-on-one coaching, just go to mindfulattraction.org/in-game coaching. I'm gonna leave the link below. I'm doing 50% off only today. Only today. All right, not tomorrow. All right, only today. Okay, so just go there, and I'll talk to you soon. And bye-bye. Have a good day, guys. Let me take, because I kind of